A blizzard warning is now in effect for Hamilton as well as Niagara, with trees and power lines down across our area, and these conditions are expected to last throughout the night. Good evening. The storm has created widespread traffic chaos and wind damage and brought parts of the region to a complete standstill.
We'll have extensive coverage of that, and we begin with CHCH's Al Sweeney reports tonight the town of Fort Erie, which so far appears to be the worst hit by this storm.
Fort Erie this afternoon was the epicenter of what's being called a once-in-a-generation blizzard, with a combination of bitterly cold weather, non-stop snowfall, and ferocious winds. We drove from Hamilton to Fort Erie with some slick roads along the way. But once we passed Niagara Falls and crossed into Fort Erie, we crossed into what forecasters call a bomb cyclone, a huge and intense change in weather over a short period of time, in this case leading to wind gusts of 120 kilometers an hour, a wind chill below -20, and up to 15 centimeters of snow in the afternoon. A triple threat.
It's really all these factors combined that make it such an impactful storm. Any one of those factors alone would be impactful. When you add them all together in such a short period of time, it really increases that potential impact factor.
It brought the town and our news vehicle essentially to a standstill. The major problem right now is this blowing snow. At times, visibility is down to zero. You can't see anything beyond the front of your car, and the snow is being driven by this brutal wind. At times, cameraman Dwayne Worth had trouble even finding the road in front of the car. We pulled over a couple of times. Throughout the day, the storm knocked out power with downed trees, water damage along Lake Erie, flooding in other areas, and roads closed throughout the town. A wrecked traffic signal lay on the road. Despite the storm, we met some locals who decided to get out of the house. What are you doing out in this weather?
Well, we just decided to be adventurous and go for a walk.
And while it was bad then, they were preparing for what's expected tonight.
We lost power for 2 hours this morning. Right when it first started, it came in like a train and just knocked out the power to the whole city, actually.
Wow.
And it came on 2 hours later. So far, we're good, but tonight's supposed to be worse.
So I spoke a few minutes ago with Fort Erie Mayor Wayne Redekop. He says at one point today there were 15,000 people without power in Fort Erie. That's essentially the entire town. Hydro crews have been out working to restore power. They're having a tough time because of the weather. Snowplows are having a tough time as well. But as it stands, there are still more than 7,500 people without power. Now, Mayor Redekop says so far there were no reports of injuries from this storm. One person drove into a creek and got lost when they tried to find their way home, but they were helped out by some residents. And Phil and Taz, I'm inside right now in our studios here in Dundas, but we can still hear the wind howling outside.